agree. But I want to talk about Bill Pulte because I think there is a connection here between his ascension to the DNI role and the voter suppression that could happen in the midterms. The New York Times states it as this, quote, Bill Pulte, one of Trump's aides who has been relentlessly pursued the president's passions for retribution, is likely to take over from Tulsi Gabbard on an acting basis. Officials are bracing for the potential for even more efforts by the Office of the Director of National Intelligence to influence the midterm elections. The agency has had an important role in recent elections during the Trump and Biden administrations of gathering information from the nation's spy agencies about attempts by foreign adversaries to influence the vote. How damaging do you think Pulte could be in the midterms, making up accusations that some foreign country is trying to get in the midterms and really bringing in the power of the federal government to these state races?
Yeah, look, I think that everyone needs to be paying attention to this exact issue. Bill Pulte is no more qualified to be the director of national intelligence than any random person you would identify in the street, which, by the way, violates the statute, which requires them to have national security experience. He has none, zero, zip, zilch. The reason why Donald Trump wants him in that position is because what Bill Pulte is he is a made man in the election denier movement. Like he has done everything that Donald Trump would want someone in that position to have done to contest or to challenge or to undermine free and fair elections in the past, and presumably he thinks will do his bidding in the future. Jay Clayton, it's interesting because what did Jay Clayton do the day before he was nominated? He went on CNBC and out of the blue, all of a sudden the top prosecutor in Manhattan all of a sudden started having opinions about whether or not there might be an opportunity for voter fraud in California. And at the time, it was absolutely bizarre. I talked actually to you all about this. Like, it was crazy. What the hell is the top federal prosecutor in New York City doing opining on California elections? Well, we quickly found out that it's because he was auditioning for a job to take over this position. So, Luke, my supposition is that maybe that wasn't enough for Donald Trump. He wants a proven election denier in to the position so that when there are foreign interference or when there need to be claims of foreign interference, his guy is sitting in the seat.
So that begs the riddle, Mark, and you and I love riddles because of what we do in trying to decipher the stupid coming out of those who want to obstruct our election process. Then what was the point of Clayton? Why nominate Clayton? Go ahead. I'll let you do it. Go ahead. Have fun.
I think that there are some, more mainstream Republicans. I hate to say mainstream because they're all MAGA. They're scared MAGA and proud MAGA. So let's just say some of the scared MAGA, right? The people in the Senate who were like, Mr. President, like, we can't have Pulte. Like, he is just a preposterous choice. And by the way, we're not going to be able to get FISA reauthorized, which is essential to the security of this country. I'm not saying it is or it isn't, but I think that's the argument they made. And so for a brief moment, Trump and the people around him are like, okay, I'll give you someone who has a little bit more of a profile, although Simone's exactly right. Jay Clayton also has no experience in national security. And so that briefly happened. But then I think, like so many things, who the hell knows who he picked up the phone and talked to? Maybe Bill Pulte called him. Maybe one of these right-wing election deniers called him. Maybe some kook he follows on social media posted something. Who knows with Donald Trump?